Hello and welcome to World Talks. I'm your host, Sasha Farbach. In the wake of a cyber attack targeting the Czech Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Prague has pointed the finger at China's APT-31 group, sparking a heated diplomatic clash and raising alarms across Europe. As the EU and NATO rally in solidarity, the Czech Republic finds itself at the center of a global debate over digital sovereignty, espionage, and state-sponsored hacking. Now, to unpack the implications and share insights into the country's cyber defense strategies, we're now joined by Jan Michalčák, former head of unit for countering hybrid threats at the Czech Defense Ministry. Good to have you on the program.
Good morning. Pleasure to be with you, as always.
Now, I want to start also drawing on your own experience at this very critical point of hybrid threats at the Czech Defense Ministry. So walk us through a little bit. First of all, what exactly happened with this attack and how vulnerable are not only the ministry there and other ministries in the Czech Republic?
Right. So according to information revealed by the Czech intelligence services yesterday, the three services actually acted in conjunction to uncover a sophisticated attack by the Chinese state-sponsored group APT-31 that attacked the unclassified emails sent by employees of the Czech Foreign Ministry. And it seems that the Chinese group and the Chinese state, by extension, had access to those unclassified emails of the MFA for at least 2 years since 2022. And that's interesting for multiple reasons, not least because in 2022, Czechia actually held the rotating presidency of the Council of the EU. So, if true, and there's no reason to believe that it's not true because it was revealed by the intelligence services themselves, this attack actually enabled the Chinese state to read critical information during a point where Czechia held a major role in the EU as a whole. That said, the emails, according to information by the authorities, were unclassified. And it seems that China did not have access to anything strictly confidential or even secret. However, even that means that the information that could have been accessed might have very well been at least sensitive, so to speak. So it is still a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're saying 2 years, yeah, now that's quite a lot of time. You said it's unclassified. Nevertheless, I mean, there's a lot of other information that can be contained, personal data and emails. So what do you think in your mind? What were they looking for? What could that information have been used for? And the second part to that is also, I mean, what else could that have given them access to in those 2 years?
Right. Interesting question. We don't know for certain, of course, but quite generally, we have to remember that China is considered by NATO and the EU as a competitor. It's definitely not a friendly nation, and as such, they will behave accordingly. And so the information they could have been wanting to access from Czechia as a full member of both the EU and NATO can be anything, really. It can be anything pertaining to the presidency of the council, because as I said, at that point in time, Czechia actually had a major role in the EU. It was setting the agenda and the main topics of discussion at the EU as a whole. And that was a point where Russia's illegal aggression against Ukraine, for example, was just starting. It was the second half of 2022, and everyone was hoping for a swift end to the end and to a peace deal, which we, as we know, haven't materialized until now. And so China might have been after information regarding that, or generally regarding the EU's defenses, cyber defenses, even against itself. So so that's one part of your question. For the second part of your question, Czechia could also be seen as by China as a gateway to the EU because of its position, strategic position on the map, and also the role in the EU by gaining information that is originally Czech. China could be hoping to use that for its influence operations against the EU and NATO as a whole.
Mm-hmm. And I know that right now we're looking at this and saying there's APT-31, this group. Now these APT threats, I mean, Tell us a little bit more about it. It's not so easy, is it? Do we know conclusively that it was this group? I mean, it's not like there's a digital trail that leaves Chinese code or Russian code for that matter. How difficult is it to find evidence that it was coming from China or any other nation-state actor?
Well, for a long time now, we've seen traces, even in the public sphere, pointing directly to APT-31's direct involvement with the Chinese Ministry for State Security. However, given the very nature of those attacks and the fact that this has been revealed by the Czech intelligence services, the public will never know for certain what kind of evidence the services have. However, just if we talk about this particular case now, just the fact that 3 intelligence services have been working in conjunction, and they've said that for a long time following this, they've been following this trace, even together with allies in the EU and NATO who've corroborated the evidence. For example, the British and the US authorities said that they've seen very similar patterns of APT-31 targeting themselves. So that in itself, if we believe our authorities and if we believe the power of independent media, for example, and the power of cooperating with allies, that tells us that the traces and the information given to us yesterday is correct. Of course, the exact modus operandi we'll probably never know.
Mm-hmm. But still, we have to, as you said, there is corroboration on various agencies. I want to get also to that European level. I mean, we have various agencies, the ENISA, also cybersecurity agency, looking out for the European Union, cooperation on NATO level, but yet we continue to have some of these attacks. How let's say, ready, I mean, it's a constant game of defense, of cat and mouse, if you will, but how ready is the rest of the EU and other institutions for more of these APT attacks?
As much as I would like to be optimistic, I would say that we have been underestimating the power of both China and Russia in terms of cyber attacks and cyber espionage for a long time now. And some politicians in our countries, be it Czechia, be it any other EU, NATO member states, have still wanted to consider China or even Russia as much more friendly, so to speak, than they really are. They've been conducting, adversarial operations for a long time now, and they've been beefing up their capabilities. Just the fact that we're talking about a very capable hacker group directly involved and directly influenced and maybe even ordered by the Chinese Ministry of State Security tells us a lot. And as I said, China is not a friendly country. That's been confirmed by NATO, the EU, and we have to beef up our securities because, who knows what might happen in the near future. Of course, we've been trying to bolster our defenses. Just the fact that the intelligence services are now cooperating in uncovering such attacks is a good sign, but there's still a lot more to do, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Let's bring in also a bit of the politics in here. I mean, how much of a connection is this due, perhaps, due to what Czechia has done and said publicly, diplomatically, for instance, supporting Taiwan? I mean, they've very much had a closer relationship, at least diplomatically, overtly, than other countries. Would that, in your assessment, have played into any of these actions by the Chinese?
Definitely. Great question. For a little bit of historical context, our former president, Miloš Zeman, was trying to push a comprehensive friendship and economic cooperation with China. He's promised a trade deal amounting to multiple 100 billion Czech crowns with China. And those deals never materialized. No significant trade deals have come into effect since he left office, and China is only 16th in terms of its importance for us as Czechia as an export market. So we definitely have many more important economic friends and actors to talk about. So this. China's role is definitely overestimated. That's one thing. The second thing is, as you mentioned, our friendship with Taiwan, which China never forgets. So, that combined, plus the fact that Czechia held the rotating presidency in 2022, as I said, and the fact that we're still a gateway to both the EU and NATO, gives China a lot of reasons to target us. And the fourth that I would love to also mention is China's cooperation and secret alliance with Russia over its aggression in Ukraine. Because let's not forget, without China, Putin would already have been forced to end his war of aggression. Only thanks to China's support is he able to continue. So because of Czechia's and the EU's and NATO's role in supporting Ukraine, that gives China one more very important reason to go after our information. Even though the information is, strictly speaking, unclassified, it can still be very important to them.
Mm-hmm. And also, as you mentioned, I mean, this whole investigation, it took about 2 years for them to find this trail, to finally realize this group was involved. How, let's say, much of a risk at this point in time, in your assessment, is perhaps the risk of other APT groups potentially and other vulnerable networks? We're looking at critical infrastructure that are maybe dormant. Is this a threat at the moment? Should we be concerned? And what lessons can we draw out of all of this?
Definitely, as I said, and of course, unfortunately for all of us, China is still staying very much active. Just a few months ago, the Czech MFA again uncovered operatives and people directly working for China and Russia in its ministries. They've now been sacked, but those people are very much remaining active. And as the sad thing, so to speak, is that many of our systems, I'm afraid, may not be completely up to speed technologically. With the very major sudden changes in terms of what the hacker groups such as APT31 can do, I'm afraid to say that especially Central and Eastern European countries such as Czechia may not be completely ready, just because of the fact that top IT people don't tend to work for the state, given multiple factors such as the below average wage levels that the state is able to offer to them. And that carries with it the risk that systems used by ministries may not be ready in terms of cybersecurity. I'm not pointing to anything specific here, but even the MFA admitted yesterday, for example, that it's had to beef up its systems as a direct response to the attack we're talking about today.
Mm-hmm. So let's hope that that is the enduring message, to continue beefing up to the systems, also to be vigilant as ever, not just against China, but many of these state-sponsored actors. Thank you so much. That was Jan Michalčák. Really appreciate that analysis.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks, but stay tuned, much more coming up right here on TVP World. Goodbye.